Okay, so good morning, everyone. Okay, I request everyone to mute yourself so that the disturbance is avoided. So, in last lecture, we have seen the single phase semi converter. So, is there any doubt in a single phase semi converter? You can ask me. Okay, so you have the time, maybe till the students join the meeting. We can discuss on that. That is single phase semi converter. Okay, everyone unmute yourself. Whenever required, you can unmute, and otherwise, all are requested to mute yourself so that disturbances may be avoided. Okay, so in the last lecture, we have seen a single phase full wave controller rectifier for RL load. Now, I'll just revise this part in a small time because this is the most important what I uh, thought, because single phase full wave control converter and semi converter. So there will be a definitely one question out of these two topics. Okay, so I'll just uh, explain fully controlled bridge with inductive load. That is, the inductive load is connected here. So basically, this rectifier works in two different operating modes, right? I'll definitely share you the notes on this unit immediately after the completion of this lecture. So in this particular converter, if the firing angle alpha that I have given you the equation, load equation, just put the value uh, of alpha is maybe 40 or 50, 60, anything, but below 90, that time you will get the output voltage V0 is a positive, right? But if alpha is greater than a 90, then definitely the output V0 is a negative. Okay, it means that that time the energy is delivered from load to source side. So your converter is work as a inverter. Okay, so see this waveforms again. I'll just explain in a short time. So here the alpha is less than 90, right? So with the inductive load, why inductor is used or inductive load is used with a high value of inductor? Because we require continuous load current, right? So continuous load current is possible only with the load that is inductive load, and at the same time the value of that inductor should be large as possible, so that you will get a constant or maybe a continuous load current. If the value of inductance or inductor is small, then again you will get a discontinuous load current, right? So load current is a constant, or you can say continuous, not a constant, but it's a continuous load current, right? So in this figure, if you see that the low firing angle is less than 90, right? So definitely you will get only this part as a power may be transferred from load to source, right? Because we know that during this period, that is pi to pi plus alpha, pi to pi plus alpha, in this particular time period, the energy is delivered from inductor to the supply voltage, right? As already we know that with positive. Okay, so when the SCR T1 and T2 is in on state, that time inductor store the energy in its magnetic field with the polarity. Whenever the supply get reversed, it changes its polarity. Downward is a positive, upward is a negative, right? So what happens? Inductors start to release the energy through this T2, then back to supply, then T1, and like this. This already we have seen, right? So what happens exactly? Whatever the energy is stored by the inductor, that is given back to the supply. So this mode is called as a inverter mode, right? So if your alpha is greater than 90, that time the load voltage is definitely a negative, right? Or maybe a more negative. So that time the energy is transfer from load to source side. So that operation we can say called as a inverter operation, right? So normally, okay, already 5 minutes are over. So now I will not allow the students to enter into the class. Okay, this is the one instruction that I want to give you. So this topic already we have covered. Just one part that I left to tell you, and that is the single phase full wave controlled rectifier or converter works in a two mode. One is called rectifying mode, another is called as a inverting mode, right? So these are the two operating modes. Actually, this converter is a rectifier, not an inverter. But if alpha is greater than 90 degree, then more power deliver from load to source side. So we can say that time, basically that time your output voltage is negative, right? So output voltage is negative and maximum power transfer from load to source. So when power transfer from load to source is called as the inverter operation, right? So that is the remaining part which I have not maybe explained in a previous lecture, right? So just imagine that if alpha is more than 90, so that time your output voltage is more negative and less positive, right? And maximum power transfer from load to source. So operation is called as a inverting operation, right? So this is already covered. Uh, the equations. See, this line is most important. If the load inductance is assumed to be large, right, or alpha becomes small, the load current cannot reach zero and it flows continuously. So the value of inductance should be large, right? That is the requirement to obtain the continuous load current, right? So this statement is added here. And next one is that is with the freewheeling diode. If I want to remove the negative part, so we use the freewheeling diode here. So next one is semi converter that already we have covered in the last lecture, but I'll just repeat for sake of just recall. So this converter that is called as a symmetric. When two SCRs are connected in the same arc, that is called as a symmetric. When one SCR and one diode is connected in one arc, called as a asymmetric. So already we have discussed about the symmetric as well as asymmetric, but I'll just repeat the last one, that is asymmetric, and then we will go for the next topic. Okay. So uh, by the time if anyone from you if interested to explain, and if they are definitely understand, then they can unmute themselves and explain what is maybe how this circuit will work, right? The working. So that is a, I'll just give the name notations A and B just for your sake of understanding. Then the terminal called as X and terminal called as a Y, right? So during positive half cycle, we'll discuss first for positive half cycle and then for negative half cycle. Okay. So anyone from the class, those are present, anyone, if try to explain, definitely it is helpful to the others even to increase their confidence. And if you are really understand, then definitely you are able to explain something. Otherwise, this is just simply a one side meeting, we can say. So this is actually a Zoom meeting, so it should be a two-way meeting. If you are having any problem, you must ask me that problem, because no one is asked maybe after even after the uh, maybe after class, or maybe no one ask any question, maybe on WhatsApp or maybe by call. So the meaning of this, that the teacher will think that you all are understanding each and everything, right? But I know that it is not like that. So it is a request to you, anyone, unmute and try to explain the working of this semiconductor. Anyone? I'm just waiting for your reply. Anyone unmute and try to explain the working of single phase, full wave, half controlled semi converter, that is asymmetric. Even you can explain symmetric also, no problem. But at least try to explain. I know that the present students for the lecture even start from roll number 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 18. Okay. So these are the present students, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26 and all. So these are the present students. So anyone, Manoj, are you there? Unmute yourself and try to explain. Right? Yes, yes.
Hello, sir. I'm audible.
Ah, yes, yes. Explain.
Okay, sir. In the given diagram, we have a source Vs, four thyristors, and one RL node.
Yes,
Uh, in the source, it provides sine wave, which consists of two parts, positive one and negative one.
yes,
Let's go for first positive one. It firstly provide positive cycle, which uh, which supplies to our which goes towards our circuit. Uh, it is Firstly, we have to turn on our four thyristors with its gate pulse. Then, due to the positive polarity, the thyristor T1 and the thyristor D, D2, sorry,
diode date. No
two
problem. No. Yes, yes,
diodes are actually.
yes, yes,
Mm. In the first positive cycle, the thyristor T1 is on and the diode D2 is on. Am I right, sir?
yes, yes. Very good. Continue.
Uh, because of turning forwarding bias of thyristor T1 and diode D2, our positive current is flowing through RL load in downward direction.
Yes.
Okay, as time increases, the voltage amplitude decreases, and because of that decrease in amplitude, our charge inductor start to
So,
uh, provide supply to our source.
yes,
As time increases, again the negative cycle starts, and as the amplitude increases of negative cycle, inductor again start to charge because of forwarding biasing of thyristor T2 and diode D1.
okay, okay.
Uh, it's also
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. It's all right. And thank you. Uh, thank you for actually others are not responding, and you have that courage to explain. No doubt.
Am I correct, sir?
Yes, 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 yes. Not 100%, but definitely it's correct. Okay. So I'll just explain again. Manoj already explained, and it is 100%. I must say correct. Uh, just I'll add some terms so that the concept is maybe again more clear. Okay. So I'll just start with the first positive half cycle. Our electronic circuits work on normally AC or DC. So during DC, we just say as turn on the DC power supply, and then we will explain the working, right? So during maybe for AC input cycle, so we'll start with the first positive. You can maybe start from negative also, no problem. But always be positive. So we'll start with the positive half cycle. So initially, when input cycle is positive, that time the terminal A and B, I just write the terminal name here for sake of your understanding. Okay. So when you explain the diagram in examination, that time you must also give some notations as per your requirements. Okay. So these notations are actually not given in a diagram by maybe any. book writer or anyone. So we should add these notations. Say this terminal is called A, this terminal is called B, and so. Okay. So during positive half cycle, the terminal A is positive with respect to B. If terminal A is positive, the anode of a thyristor T1 is forward bias. At the same time, diode D1 is reverse bias. Why? Because the terminal A is positive and this is connected to the anode of T1 and cathode of D1. So if positive is applied to the cathode of D1, D1 is reverse bias. I'll just cross D1, okay? And T1 is forward bias. It is in forward bias condition, but not on, okay? Similarly, the B is negative. It is connected to the anode of T2 as well as cathode of T2. So because of minus B, the anode or thyristor T2 is in reverse bias condition, but diode D2 is in forward bias condition. Okay, it is in forward bias condition. Now, whenever you apply the triggering pulse to the thyristor T1, it start to conduct and current start to flow from Vs, then A, then thyristor T1, then terminal X, then R, then L, then terminal Y, then diode D2, then V, and back to the Vs, right? This is a current loop basically. So current start to flow from Vs to A, then anode, or you can say thyristor T1, then X, then R, then L, then Y terminal, then D2, then B minus, and then back to the Vs. During this interval, inductors start to store the energy in its magnetic field. Okay, inductors start to store the energy in its magnetic field. The polarity of that stored charge, upper direction positive, lower direction negative, right? Now at pi, when cycle reverse or input cycle, that is a negative half cycle is applied, negative half cycle applied, that time the terminal A is negative, terminal A is negative with respect to B, the terminal B is positive, right? Terminal B is positive, A is negative. Now, if terminal A is negative, what happens? The thyristor T1 may be in a reverse bias condition, right? But diode D1 is in forward bias condition, right? Because A is negative, A is negative. Okay. So so A is negative, B is positive. So A negative, it means the diode D1 is in forward bias condition, right? And and diode D2 is in reverse bias condition. Okay. Now what happens when a negative half cycle is applied? Whatever the polarity of a stored charge across inductor get reversed. So downward direction is positive and upward terminal is negative, right? And now inductor start to release the energy. Okay. Until and unless you apply the triggering pulse to the T2, the इंडक्टर रिलीज द एनर्जी राईट जोपर्यंत तुम्ही T2 ला ऑन करत नाही तोपर्यंत इंडक्टर काय करतो इट स्टार्ट टू रिलीज द एनर्जी राईट so D2 is reverse bias due to supply voltage but D1 is forward bias. So what happens, this energy is transferred from inductor to D1, right? It makes T1 as it is on and then back to the R and supply, right? Why this has happened? Basically, diode D1 acts as a freewheeling diode. T1 is already on till the cycle is positive. So as soon as the supply get reversed, what happens? Inductor immediately start to release the energy through D1, T1 back to the load, right? So definitely the power is, or maybe whatever low energy, energy stored by load is not feed to the supply. It is bypassed to the supply, but it feed from L, Y, D1, then thyristor T1, X, R, L, and so on, right? So that the load current is continuous. Okay, load current is continuous, and negative part of a supply voltage is eliminated. Negative part of supply voltage is eliminated. Still, the SCR T1 is on in reverse bias direction, or you can say with a negative voltage, but it is on due to the energy released by inductor. So inductor release the energy, diode D1 is in forward bias, so current flow through D1, T1, and then R, L, and so on. So in this way, the current is free will. See, you can say here the current is decreasing at this particular time, that is alpha, sorry, pi to pi plus alpha. You can see here pi to pi plus alpha, the current is continuous but current decreasing because the inductor release the energy, right? So that the current is definitely decreasing. Again, when next triggering pulse applied to the T2, then again current start to flow from B, T2, R, L, then D1, and then back to the A. So that is a negative half cycle. But what happens from pi to pi plus alpha? Diode D1 acts as a D1 acts as a Manisha students many times mute yourself. You are doing something. Okay, so uh, this is about the asymmetric semi-converter. Okay, asymmetric semi-converter. So in asymmetric semi-converter, during positive half cycle, T1 and D2 is on. Okay, current flows from Vs, T1, R, L. This is T1, R, L, D2 back to the supply. Okay, so that time you will get a positive half cycle after maybe alpha, what it may be the cycle, right? So that you will get across the load. And from pi to pi plus alpha, from pi to pi plus alpha, what happens? From pi to pi plus alpha, inductor starts to release the energy through L, D1. That time D1 acts as a prevalent diode, T1 back to the R and L, right? So current is continuous, definitely current decreasing because inductor release the energy, so that the energy across the inductor is definitely decreasing, but that time D1, diode D1 and T1 acts as a freewheeling component, and it will freewheel the current from inductor, then D1, T1 back to the R, inductor, D1, T1 back to the R, and so on. So whatever energy feed from inductor to supply is maybe block, right? So this is a first part. And during negative half cycle, uh, what happens? The terminal B is positive with respect to A. So current flows from B, T2, R, L, then D1, and back to the supply, right? So this time also the current direction is same. So we'll get the same output. That is again a positive part, right? And again from 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha, 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha. That time the diode D2 and thyristor diode D2, whatever energy stored by inductor, it will release D2, T2, R, and inductor. So during pi to pi plus alpha, D1 acts as a freewheeling diode, right? So that the power delivered from load to source is blocked, right? So negative part of output voltage is eliminated. And similarly, during negative half cycle, from you can say 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha, the diode D2 acts as a freewheeling diode. So again, same thing, the output that is delivered, that is the negative half cycle part, is eliminated. So this is about the uh, asymmetric semi-converter. Okay, I'll immediately share the notes on this particular unit after this lecture, so that you can easily understand. And even further, if you are not able or you are not understand the concept of semi-converter, so again you can ask me maybe in the next lecture. But first you read the notes, and then we will discuss on that in the next lecture, right? So working is given here, even equations are same. Now the next part is three-phase supply voltage, or maybe a three-phase converter. The three-phase converter is the most important, because definitely there will be a one question or two questions, even two questions may be asked on a three-phase converter. Okay, so in this particular unit, uh, one question is on semi-converter is fixed, one question on full converter is also fixed, maybe a problem asked, or maybe a sometimes uh, explanation is asked. And definitely there will be a one or two questions on a three-phase supply, because your total unit consists of total nine converters, right? So out of these nine converters, in examination there will be a definitely four converters will be asked, right? So if you see the syllabus, it is very simple. Total nine questions are there. So one more question is there. I will explain later on. So total 10 questions are there. So out of there are 10 questions, only four questions. It is very easy to get 18 marks for this particular unit, right? Maybe in SEM as well as La end SEM. That is combined 18 marks. So it is advantageous to you. So three-phase converter. Before to see three-phase converter, I'll just explain you three-phase supply, right? So this is a waveform for a three-phase supply. First waveform called as a phase voltage. There are three phases, right? Phase A, phase B, and phase C. We can say red, yellow, and blue. RGB, right? Or the RB, RYB, right? Red, yellow, and blue. There are three phases. Before to start the three-phase supply, even what is the need of three-phase converter, that I want to explain you first, right? Normally, the energy generated, right? Energy generated from any generation center, or maybe any power generator. This definitely it's a three-phase supply. So from three phase, then one of the supply is given to your home, that is called a single phase. But no one is use single phase generator to generate the power, right? Maybe in hydraulic power or maybe thermal power, everywhere there will be a three phase generators, right? So normally from three phase to one phase, that is quite possible, because there are three phases. So you can use any one phase with respect to neutral. So that is we are actually using at our home, that is a single phase supply. But if you see the actual supply is a three phase supply, that out of that three phase, one of the phase is connected to your home, right? So sometimes it happens that the energy is maybe lost at our home, but it is possible that it is maybe on to the other homes and maybe houses. So that is possible, because the actual the line, AC line which comes at our home is a single phase, but on maybe a poles, that is definitely a three phase supply. Okay, so three phase. Why three phase? Because everywhere, wherever the generators, or maybe a thermal station, or maybe a hydraulic power station, or any other power station, the generated power is a three phase power, right? And second thing, in a single phase converter, the ripple components are more. Ripple components are more. But if you use a three phase, then definitely ripple components are very less. What is mean by ripple component? The AC component present in an output of a converter. Converter basically uh, AC to DC converter, but not a pure DC. So the output of every converter, it consists of DC as well as AC components, right? So DC as well as AC components. Okay. So whatever DC components in a single phase converter is more, right? As compared to the three-phase converter. In a three-phase converter, the output is very close to the DC, right? That time the ripple components present is very less, and even if you see the efficiency of a half wave rectifier is just 40%, it means that 60% components are present as a AC. Okay, if you see full wave rectifier, the efficiency is equal to 80%, right? The efficiency is 80%. It means that it consists of 80% DC components, but still 20% AC components are present, right? What is the efficiency? Basically, output voltage by input voltage, right? Or output power by input power. Okay. So input power, if it is 100% and efficiency is 80%, it means that only 80% AC power converted to the DC, remaining 20% is still present as AC, right? But with a three-phase power or maybe converter, the ripple component is very less. The efficiency of a three-phase converter is more than 95%. It means that just 2 to 3% AC components are present, right? Remaining, it's a DC. So with the help of three-phase, we will get a more DC as compared to the single phase, and that's why three-phase converters are maybe important. Okay, this is the need of three-phase converter. Now we'll see three-phase supply. Phase A, phase B, phase C. You can say R, Y, B even, right? If you see here, the phase difference between the two phases is 180. Sorry, 120, right? So you can see here the phase A and phase B. There will be a 120 phase shift, right? This is a 120 phase shift, and again 120 phase shift. So this is the 120 degree, 120 degree. So every phase is, you can see with this figure, right? So phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. You can see the phase difference between these three phases is exactly 120, right? Phase 1 to phase 2 120, phase 2 to phase 3 120, and again phase 3 to phase 1 is also 120, right? So each phase is maybe shifted by 120 degree. So 120 is a phase difference between these three phases, right? These voltages called as a VAN, VBN, and VCN. N is a neutral. So voltage between phase A with respect to neutral is called VAN, VBN, and VCN, right? Uh, that is the phase voltages. Okay, and second figure, that is line voltages. Line voltage means the voltage between A and B, B and C, C and A, then B and C, then C and A, and then B and A, and likewise. See, the voltage, if you measure between two phases, it will be 440 volt. If you measure the voltage between one phase with respect to neutral, it will be 230 volt. Remember this thing. If you measure practically the voltage between any phase with respect to neutral, it will be 230 to 240 volt, right? Or 220 volt. The typical value is 220 volt, right? If you measure voltage by using multimeter, if you connect to the phase A with respect to neutral, it will be 220 volt. If you measure between B with respect to neutral, it is again 220 volt. If you measure between C with respect to neutral, called as a VCN, is also equal to 220 volt, right? But when you measure the voltage between A and B, that is called AB, VAB, and this voltage is called as a line voltage because we are measuring between two lines, A and B. So VAB is called as a line voltage, and it will be 440 volt. It will be 440 volt. Typical value. I am telling typical value 440 because it is basically double. The phase voltage A 220, phase voltage B 220. The addition of these two is 440 volt. Okay. Then the phase A and C, it is again 440. Then B and C is again 440. Then B and A is also 440. C and A is also 440. C and B is also 440, and so on. Right? If you see the phase difference between these two line voltages, A, B, C. This line is called AC and this is called BC. So the phase difference between these two lines is a 60 degree, right? This is a 60 degree. So the phase difference between two line voltages is a 60 degree and phase difference between two phase voltages is a 120 degree. This is most important. Okay, right? Phase difference between two phases is 120 degree and the phase difference between two line voltages is 60 degree. Remember this thing. Okay, so these are called as a line voltages. These are called as a line voltages and these are called as a phase voltage. Again, the phase voltage and line voltages are given separately here for your just understanding. Uh, which is called VBY, VRY, VRB. Right? So you can maybe give name A, B, C, and so on, or just a minute. Uh, okay, so I'll just explain you how this supply voltage is generated. That just want to explain you. So see, this is the introduction of three-phase system. First figure, basically single phase two wire system, right? So one is maybe a line voltage, another is a neutral. Then second figure, you can see two wire system, three wire system basically, two phases A and B with respect to neutral. Already we have seen dual power supply in our lab, that is a plus minus with a ground, right? So this is the two single phase three wire system. Then two sources are connected to the load. That is a balance actually two phase three wire system same. Now it's a three phase four wire system. Three phase four wire system, right? See phase A, phase B, and phase C with respect to neutral. So this is a three phase four wire system. Now how the AC is generated, that we have to see. The AC generation, three things must be present in order to produce electrical current, that is magnetic field, conductor, and relative motion is required. Without this, the current the AC generation is not possible, right? So we'll see first one, generation, a single phase, right? This is a magnetic field, a conductor. Okay, conductor, magnetic field, now relative motion. If we move this particular conductor in a clockwise direction, right? So initially, see, motion is parallel to the flux. So basically, this is a flux and motion, both are parallel. So that time, no voltage is induced. Okay. Now, if I move this inductor in a clockwise direction, like this, clockwise direction, okay. So what happens here? If it is moved by 45 degree, if it is moved by 45 degree, then the voltage or maybe a EMF is induced in this particular inductor or conductor basically, and that is the level of voltage is equal to 0.707%, right, of the maximum voltage. Okay. Now this inductor is continuously moving. Now the motion is perpendicular. See, this is a perpendicular to the flux. That's a magnetic field. So the motion is perpendicular to the flux. That time you will get or voltage induced in that particular. Why? Because the motion of this conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic flux. So maximum magnetic lines cut by the inductor, so that inductor, or we can say conductor, so that the maximum EMF is induced in this particular conductor or inductor, right? So maximum in EMF